They were wishing death upon him. They were manifesting the man was going to die, and they were manifesting it was my fault. And now that that didn't happen, they're spiraling because they look stupid. And you know what? I would feel stupid if I was them too. Hello, everybody. How are you doing on this fine? Well, the day I'm recording this is Monday, but I don't think it's going to come out till Wednesday or Thursday. So how are you doing on this, whatever the day of the week it is that I'm finally posting this? I'm doing quite well, but there is a little bit of calamity that I need to address. To be quite honest, I thought I was done addressing this. Like I thought I wasn't going to, but the level of aggression and frankly abuse and in my opinion, a certain type of assault that's being targeted in my direction requires me to address it. And that has to do with Krusty Lynn Margera. Now, if you are not sure who that is, you never heard that name before, it's Bam Margera's older, uglier, and less talented brother, Jess Margera. I, like you, had never really heard of this man in my damn life outside of the fact that he is Bam's brother. But for whatever reason, whenever I started my investigation into Bam's conservatorship, aka guardianship, people were telling me, look, you have to contact Jess because Jess actually really loves his brother and he will do something about it. So contact him. And I did make some attempts through third parties to reach out to him because I did want to talk to him and I did want to get his side of the story. Well, it was not long after I made my first video on the issue that he was already starting to tweet and post on Instagram about people being conspiracy theorists and stuff like that. He never did reach out to me through that third party that I did attempt to communicate with him through. So I just took it to mean that he did not want to communicate with me. Well, I've also mentioned Jess here and there from time to time in some of my reporting, and I even gave him a silly little nickname, and it is Krusty Lynn Margera. The reason that I gave him that name is because Britney Spears' less talented sibling is named Jamie Lynn Spears, and if Bam Margera is the Britney Spears of Jackass, then it would obviously follow that his less talented and bitter, resentful sibling would be the Jamie Lynn. So Jamie Lynn, that name's already taken. We have all these Jamies. So I started calling him Krusty Lynn because he's crusty looking. Okay. Well, as a result of that, he obviously took his dislike for me even further, which he's allowed to do. He does not have to like me. He does not have to talk to me. He does not have to be a fan. And he does not have to keep quiet about me. He can talk about me. But his talking started to become more and more deranged, more and more depraved, more and more what I thought to be manic. And it was kind of looking like maybe Jess Margera needed a conservatorship or jail, if you know what I mean. But even still, I was just going to let him go. I was going to let him just talk his shit, right? One of the things he said early on, and he was adamant about this, was that Bam Margera, his more talented and more successful brother who actually owns the home that Jess rents for way below market value, one of the points that Jess was very adamant about was that even as recently as literally earlier this year, Jess was adamant. He says, if you are a free Bammer, then Bam laughs his beep, beep off at you. Sorry you had to find out this way. Santa Claus isn't real also. I'm so sorry, bro. And that would not be the first and only time that Jess did make this type of allegation, this type of accusation that Bam thinks that all the free Bam people are crazy. He laughs. He literally laughs at us. He laughs at how funny he thinks that we are. And if you think that he needs to be freed from something, then Bam is literally laughing at you, right? Well, it wasn't long after that very same exact tweet that me and Bam became personal friends. You see what I mean? So he had to come off of that story. And in my opinion, that was very embarrassing for Jess, right? Because for so long, he seemed like he was this brother. He seemed like he was very close with Bam. He seemed like he had insider information. And he seemed like he really knew what he was talking about. Up until that point, people were able to look at Jess Margera's tweets and say, well, listen, I see what BJ is saying. And what BJ is saying is pretty compelling. But I have Bam's literal blood relative, his brother, who he grew up with in the house, on the other side saying that BJ's wrong. So I think that Jess contradicting my investigation actually did hurt my investigation a lot because it made what I was saying seem kind of like not as credible when compared to the fact that Jess Margera is saying there's nothing to worry about, all is well. Bam is laughing at the free Bam movement. Well, unfortunately for Jess, either he was lying and that was never true, or Bam changed his mind about what he thought about the free Bam movement. Okay. So then the dynamics switched, right? It went from people giving Jess Margera the benefit of the doubt, like as Bam's brother, and saying, if Jess and BJ are disagreeing on something, then we may be more inclined to believe Jess. Then me and Bam link up. He does a bunch of interviews with me. We've met up a few times. I've been to court with him. And come to find out, he doesn't actually think the free Bam movement was a joke at all. Actually, Bam is very appreciative for the free Bam movement. So it makes Jess in general seem much less credible. Okay. Now, I think, and this part's just what I think, because I'm allowed to, we still have the First Amendment in the United States of America. The last time I checked, it is dwindling each and every day because literal clowns are in charge of everything. But last time I checked, despite how much Krusty Lynn might really hate it, I'm still allowed to say my opinion online. So basically, TLDR, long story short, I ended up looking much more credible than Krusty Lynn Margera, even though I'd never met Bam in my life. So I think that what happened is Jess got his feelings hurt. I think he's probably also afraid that he's going to have to start paying either more money to live in the castle, or he's going to have to start paying a very, very expensive mortgage if he wants to even attempt to buy that castle, or he's going to have to move out. For all intents and purposes, it does seem like the man is homeless and he may need a conservatorship if he can't keep a roof over his head. I don't know. You know what I mean? Again, all this stuff, I was just going to ignore it. I was just going to let it go. But Jess has now been saying some things that I cannot let go because simply put, it's just based on lies and false assumptions. So I do want to address a couple of the tweets that he made recently. This leads me to a larger and additional point that I did want to make in this video, and that has to do with Bam and his sobriety. So this is another topic that I've really avoided talking about because no matter what I do and no matter what I say, people are going to, and I think it's intentionally misconstrue what I'm saying in order to advance their own points that are antithetical to my points. Do you see what I'm saying? So I really didn't want to talk about Bam's sobriety because my opinion and my commentary on Bam's sobriety is consistent since the first time that I knew that he was in a conservatorship, aka guardianship. I think Bam Margera should be the person in charge of his sobriety or not. I think Bam should have to deal with the consequences of his actions. If that is getting loaded, getting larried up, whatever he wants to call it, that should be up to him. I've always thought that, and I still think that today. So I've seen a lot of comments and stuff lately about Bam's sobriety and people kind of giving me credit for it and saying that the Free Bam movement is responsible for Bam's sobriety and saying that my friendship with Bam is responsible for his sobriety. And I just want to unequivocally state that is not the case. I am not the reason for Bam Margera's sobriety in any way, shape, or form. Bam Margera and Bam Margera alone wakes up each day and he makes the choice not to participate in substances, including alcohol. Now, I'm very proud of Bam. I'm very proud of Bam. I would be lying. I would be lying if I didn't say that I have shed a tear or two over Bam's sobriety. And he's posting these videos, skateboarding, and he looks so happy. He looks right in his element, and he looks like he's doing what he's made to do. And I do believe that it is better for Bam to not be drinking and to not be participating in any other substances. That's what I believe. But I'm not having check-in calls with Bam. I'm not giving him drug tests. I'm not holding him accountable to any of this stuff. That's his choice. I've always said the only person responsible for Bam Margera's actions is Bam. The only person responsible for Bam Margera's choices as it pertains to alcohol and other substances is Bam. That's it. I'm supportive of Bam. I'm happy for Bam. I'm proud of Bam. And I do hope that he continues to wake up each and every day and make the same choice to not participate in these substances. But each day that he wakes up and does that is his choice. And it's him being in charge of his own autonomy. And unfortunately for Bam, and now for me, the deranged lunatics in his circle don't understand that people are responsible for their own actions and people can make their own choices. And that brings me to these two tweets that I wanted to show y'all. So here's one from May 3rd. So this was just about 3 months ago. wherein Jess Margera said people everywhere after clicking yes to watching the explicit sex act interview part 1. Now, I do have reason to believe that Jess Margera has taken down this explicit tweet that is directed and targeted at me. But the fact remains that he did post it. Now, we are going to look at at least one other instance where he did refer to me as this name. And I'm all right with a nickname. I'm even all right with being made fun of. I'm all right with y'all making fun of my face. I'm all right with y'all making fun of my teeth. I'm okay with y'all making fun of my accent. I'm okay with y'all making fun of my integrity. It's something that I'm very used to because I've been dealing with demon possessed sociopaths for my entire life. So it's really nothing new. I'm very used to dealing with these types of demons, the literal devils. But what I'm not okay with, and I just want to make it very, very public because it is certainly going to become an issue at law, that I'm not comfortable with Jess Margera, a grown man, much older than me, making jokes at my expense, and I don't consent. I do not consent to being the butt of a sexual joke, in particular by the likes of Jess Margera. Okay. Now, let's look at this one other tweet. This one, I don't know the date of this one. He's shut his account down, but I do have this screenshot saved where he said, I will need Bam's lawyer. Rob Bob investigates. Carlos the ramp builder and every other person on his quote side right now to explain yourselves. Well, let me just tell you something right the fuck now, Jess. I don't owe you any damn thing, including an explanation. Okay? There's not a single thing, not one thing ever, since the dawn of time that Bam Margera has done as a result of me making him do that. Not one. I don't owe the likes of you, a seemingly unemployed single father who cannot even keep a roof over his daughter's head if it's not paying drastically below market price for his brother's mansion. I don't have to explain myself to the likes of a freeloading grifter who the only reason anybody even knows you damn exist is because your brother's famous. Moving on. So here's some evidence that Jess Margera's explicit comments directed toward me that I did not consent to have now spread to his little fans. His little fans are now making depraved jokes at my expense. And I need y'all to understand it's not just a name. Because, yeah, I have a little nickname for Jess Margera. And if he was calling me, there's other nicknames that people use for me online that are mean, that are hateful. I won't be making videos mentioning them. I won't be making videos discussing them because those people have the right to their opinion as long as it doesn't hurt somebody. But whenever you are making sexual, y'all know I go way above and beyond to be like very modest. Like I am not a sexually explicit type of person, even in my private life. Like I'm a victim, frankly, of sex abuse. I've been assaulted sexually. I've been abused sexually. It is absolutely unacceptable and completely inappropriate for a grown-ass man who I don't like, who don't like me, to be making me the butt of a joke. Because what he does by calling me this is to put an image in people's mind about me, to put an image in people's mind of me doing a sexual act. It's disgusting. It's harassment. And I'm not okay with it. There's a lot of stuff I can let roll off of my back. There's two things I won't. One, lies. Lies I will not let roll off of my back. I will not let it go. Lies and mischaracterizations, I'm not letting it go. The other thing I'm not letting go is somebody harassing me sexually. And that's what Jess Margera is doing with these tweets, in my opinion. I've said it already before that he needs to stop doing this, and it looks like these tweets are still up. So, Jess Margera should issue a public retraction and an apology to me. I would like it in writing. but he can make a video if he wants to as well. I do not consent to being harassed by Jess Margera. I do not consent to Jess Margera forcing the public to equate me with sexual acts that I did not mention doing. It's nasty. It's unacceptable. It's inappropriate. And it might actually also be illegal. So that brings me to my main point. He's been tweeting up a damn storm ever since he realized that I guess Bam's not going to just be so easily swayed. I know that this whole team over here, the whole team con over there, I know they just sit around and they're like, oh, she's filling his head with all these lies. She's convincing him. She's making him do this. No, I'm not. I'm not. I don't talk to Bam that often. Maybe a couple times a week, maybe. I'd have never, ever, ever explicitly told Bam to do anything. I don't tell Bam not to do stuff. I definitely don't tell Bam to do stuff. So the shared delusion that Team Con has come up with that I am somehow the reason for Bam's actions is just that, a delusion. I don't know what's wrong with these people, but in my opinion, it's pathological. So the other day, what is it today? Today is October 9th. I don't know when I'll actually post this, but on October 3rd, so just about a week ago at the time of recording this video, Jess Margera posted something so out of damn left field. If Bam or Surprise BJ, again, another sexually explicit insult, harassment, get my parents harmed in any way, I won't even rest 1 second until they are both in prison. Well, bitch, you up tweeting all day and damn night. Do you rest as it is? Do you rest as it is? And all this not resting has gotten you exactly no goddamn where, because you have not in any way affected my life other than the sexual harassment that you are now causing to be directed at me. So maybe the whole issue is you need to rest, sir. Maybe the whole issue is take a damn nap. Worry about your daughter who's growing up with a deranged sociopath posting bullshit about women giving jobs, a deranged misogynist who cannot attack the arguments on the merits. So he makes harassing comments to women publicly. I'm sure that's not destroying Jess's daughter's psyche in any way. I'm sure she's not going to have any long-term daddy issue type effects on that. I'm sure. And I know she ain't watching my video because my videos aren't for kids. But Jess Margera should be so proud if his daughter turns out to be even 50% of the woman that I am. Or she could turn out like her dad instead, making harassing comments at women. So he's saying he wants to put me in prison if his parents get harmed. Her fans are definitely unhinged, and she's filling my brother's head with insane bullshit. No evidence. Not one piece of evidence. What do I do whenever I bring stuff to y'all? I show y'all the receipts, just like I'm showing you this one right here. Just like I've shown y'all conservatorship applications, just like I've shown y'all court documents. I don't go on Twitter and say, filling head with insane bullshit. No, I don't. I go on Twitter and say, things were lied about. Properties were sold. Here is the registry of deeds record. But again, because Jess Margera is quite frankly, obviously incapable of taking even the smallest, tiniest crumb of accountability for his own actions. He could have went to college. He could have, I don't know, maybe even developed a talent, any talent. And he wouldn't be in the situation he's in, but he didn't. You know, I went to law school. I went to Ivy League law school. I was the first person in my family to even walk onto a college campus. I worked my entire way through it. Then I got into the best law schools in the whole world, and I went to one and I graduated from one. That really, really burns Jess Margera up. He uses that against me. Imagine, I'm in the top 5% of all law students to have ever been a law student. And this sociopath holds that against me. And it's not really him holding it against me. You know who he's really holding it against? Himself. Because he's a loser. He's a loser. He's a loser. He has absolutely nothing to show for his life. He has absolutely nothing to show for himself. He has no inheritance to leave his child. He couldn't keep his marriage together. He couldn't keep his relationship with his brother together. He has a very dysfunctional codependent relationship with his parents, from what I'm able to see. And I'm able to see it because they put it all out very publicly. The man don't even own his own home. I'm not even holding Krusty Lynn to the same standard as I would hold like a normal person, because the man has access to literally every resource imaginable. His brother is a A-list celebrity. He has every possible conceivable resource and nothing to show for himself. So I can only imagine what it feels like to be a loser with nothing to show for yourself, because that's not my calling. That's not my life. My life path is successful. I will always be successful. Always. And that doesn't mean I've always had money. I don't even have money right now, really. That means that when I set my mind to do something and I put it on the vision board, it gets done. Jess, clearly that's not the case. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't even successfully put Bam Margera into the Pennsylvania's version of a 5150. I mean, of all the people in the world that it would be pretty easy to 5150, I think Bam would be pretty high up there, and Jess couldn't even get him 5150. You know what I mean? Like, the man is a failure. He fails. He's just, I mean, everything he does is just a failure. So I don't know what it feels like to be just such a monumental failure. But I can imagine that if you were, and you were looking at somebody like me who's successful, beautiful, smart, extremely smart, intelligent, brilliant, even some might say, and who has now publicly proven you wrong multiple times, I can imagine that that does something to his ego. And then you add on top of it the very obvious misogyny that the man struggles with. It really probably grinds his gears even more so that I'm a woman. I'm younger than him, and I'm still right about things he should have been right about. It's things he should have been right about. He should have known better than me about his own brother. He should have, but he didn't. He should have known better than me what his own brother was thinking and saying before I ever knew the brother, but he didn't. Right. So I can imagine that it's really been a reckoning for Jess Margera. It's been difficult for him to come to terms with the fact that he's just not going to be able to be in control of this narrative. So instead of taking even the smallest crumb, remnant of responsibility for his own actions that have put him in the spot in his life that he is, which is a loser, he needs to blame it on somebody. And this is very common with narcissists and families that have narcissistic abuse. They got to scapegoat somebody. It's got to be somebody's fault. So if y'all remember, before I ever met Bam, and before Bam even heard about the free Bam movement, it was my fault he was leaving rehab. It was my fault he was getting loaded. It was my fault he was doing it. Was my fault he was running away from the cops. Just to be clear, none of that was my fault. Just like it's not my fault that Bam is today sober. None of that's my fault. None of it is. It's the people who made those choices to do those things fault. That's whose fault it is, not mine. Then he goes on to say they're free to believe their victims all day long to fit their narrative. Parents' safety coming into jeopardy. That's crossing the line. Shut the up. Okay, just shut the up. All right. I don't know how many more times that I have to say it. I don't know how many more ways I could say it. I'm thinking about actually learning how to say it in many languages so that I can make a video of just like me saying disclaimers in many languages, because it is quite frankly comical how many times I have said, do not contact these people. Do not go to their house. Do not send them a letter. Do not like their pictures. Do not comment on their pictures. And all of that stuff, just to be clear, I'm not comfortable with it. I don't think I should be in a position to have to tell grown adults not to do something that's very obvious they shouldn't be doing. But these lunatics live in a world, in a matrix, in an upside down clown world, where anything somebody does, somebody else made them do it. And it really, honestly, it kind of gives me a little bit of insight into their psychology, because what Jess Margera is telling me is he's a weak bitch. He's a weak, spineless bitch who needs to grow up. Because he's telling me he can be told what to do. He's telling me that somebody can pull his strings. Because when I see stuff like that, the first thought that comes to my mind is I can't make nobody do anything, because nobody's making me do anything. Okay. Now that's different than saying following the law and stuff like that. All right. Yes, they can make me follow the law. I do follow the law because they make me. But If somebody goes to harm your parents, and this goes for anybody out here's parents, I can assure you beyond any shadow of any doubt that it ain't my damn fault. I have said so many times, and I'm renewing it here again, even though it does violate my personal principles of not telling other adults what the hell to do or not do. Don't contact these people. Don't show up at their house. Don't call them. Don't even comment on their posts. Don't tag them in a post. Don't reply to their tweet threads. First of all, don't accomplish anything. And second of all, anyone who does, it could be somebody in Timbuktu. It could be somebody all the way over it could be somebody on the planet of the apes. It could be somebody tweeting from outside the Milky Way galaxy. But girl, somehow it's going to be my fault. Phil Margera could have a very predictable heart attack because he's obviously cortisol levels through the roof, look like he got Cushing syndrome or something else. Very obviously predisposed to heart issues. And if the man has a heart attack, it's going to say it in his obituary. That surprise, she's the reason. She killed him. She's a murderer. We have a police investigation going on because she murdered him. That's what they would say. When Bam was loaded, when Bam was leaving rehab to get loaded, it was my fault, wasn't it? But I haven't seen Jess say, oh, wow, maybe BJ was onto something. Maybe we really just need to leave the man the hell alone and let him live his life. Maybe he would have got better. No. No. I get no credit for that, which I shouldn't get. I don't think I should. But I never also should have been given the blame for Bam's actions either. That's my point. So 2 things today. Number 1, I do not wish harm to befall any Margeras, including Jess, even though he sexually harasses me online. I don't want any harm to befall him. I know if something happens to him, it's going to be blamed on me, and it would just be a lot easier in my life if that just didn't happen. I said it before, I'll say it again, and I really mean it. Anytime any of these Margeras wants to sit down for a debate with me, moderated by a legitimate moderator, I'm more than happy to do it. Come and attack what I have to say on the merits. Tell me the facts. Tell me the evidence. Tell me how I'm wrong. And leave the harassment out of it. It's a tale as old as time. How many women out here? And y'all know I don't even do this whole women-men thing. I don't like it. I think it's stupid and overplayed. But in some cases, it really is relevant. I have not made explicit, depraved insults at people. I've been accused of it, but the accusations were not accompanied by evidence. In fact, I've had people send me what appears to be evidence. I'll just say hypothetical, right? Because this is a standard practice type of thing. I've had people send me what appeared to be evidence from websites, like not pictures like that they got from nowhere. No, like websites that appeared to be people who I was investigating in sexual acts. It was a public record because it was public. I never even told y'all about it. I would not do that. That is not what I do. Want to know why I would not do that? First of all, I'm a good person. But second of all, I don't have to. I don't have to. Want to know why I don't have to? Because the public record that isn't depraved is bad enough. Or put another way, the truth is on my side. People who the truth is on their side, they don't have to go and harass people. It would be one thing if I was out here, out, only it up, okay? It would be different if I had a graphic only account with my fiance and then husband and then got married to him and then a week later was making a video with Jason Love. I mean, that would be a little bit different because you kind of put it out there at that point. You kind of marketed yourself as like somebody that does that. You know what I mean? You market yourself as somebody that's related to that. Then you can't be upset whenever people make those types of comments. I've not marketed myself that way. And it's been intentional. Jess Margera can say what he wants about me, but he cannot lie about me. And I do not consent to his directing and targeting harassment in my direction or about me. It is definitely not funny. It is definitely not appropriate. And I'm pretty sure it's not legal. I have never, ever directed anyone, including my unhinged followers, to harm anyone, to stalk anyone, to harass anyone. Never. And that would include Phil and April Margera. In fact, I have told people repeatedly in this video and others not to even contact them. If something happens to Phil Margera and April Margera, that ain't on me. But look, they're already, Krusty Lane is already trying to blame me for something that hasn't even happened. What are y'all planning? Because it used to be, oh, when Bam it's going to be BJ's fault. They were literally, including Steve-O, the failed clown, blaming me for the man's They were wishing death upon him. They were manifesting the man was going to die. And they were manifesting it was my fault.
Rumors and conspiracy theories and crazy stuff swirling around BAM. What's come to be known as the Free BAM movement. Very toxic. So I just wanted to set the record straight on that, because anybody who's talking about Free BAM, let him out, get him out of treatment, like, you're trying to kill my fucking brother, you know, and don't do that.
And now that didn't happen, they're spiraling because they look stupid. And you know what? I would feel stupid if I was them too. Unfortunately for them, that does not mean that I'm going to consent to them making depraved, harassing comments in my direction. Opinions are fair game. Thoughts and speculations are fair game. But whenever the speculations venture into depravity, that is not nobody's business. And I take intentional steps to not make that anybody's business. It's not your business, Jess. You sick fuck. You sick fuck. Ugh. Ugh. Just imagine in his nasty, Jess Margera's nasty, inflamed sausage fingers typing out the word about me. It makes me want to vomit. It makes me want to throw up. He was thinking about a act and me at the same time, and then he made other people associate me with that act when I did nothing to invite that association. I've already been on this video a lot longer than I wanted to. So I just want to do a TLDR. I better not see one more tweet, comment, even a damn text message associating me or any of my names with acts or activities, because I do not consent to that. I don't consent to it. And I will consider any future violation exactly that, a violation. Have y'all ever even seen me give my fiance a kiss on the cheek? Have y'all ever even seen me kissing my fiance on the cheek on my social media accounts? I don't want to portray myself as a object for the internet to consume. And I have the choice to decide on that, and I have not. So, once you make a girl, once you talk about sex, once you put it out there, that's one thing. And if I had put myself out there like that, I would not be able to complain. But I have not. What you have is a deranged lunatic making explicit and depraved jokes at my expense because I have made him look stupid on the merits. And I really don't get in all this gender stuff. I really don't. But in this case, I actually do think it's relevant. He could not argue with me on the merits. He could not argue with me using evidence. He still refuses to because he's chicken shit, because he knows what would happen during that debate. He would have to resort to harassment or violence because the truth is not on his side. It's on mine. But what I'm not going to subject myself to is harassment. So, just the very next time I see Jess Margera talking about a surprise or a instigates or a investigates, I will consider that to be harassment because I think it's very clear at this point. I have said I don't consent to it. I don't appreciate it, and it feels violating. I feel like I'm being violated because I made the man look stupid. Because on the merits, on the facts, based on evidence, he's a loser. He loses. So now he has to try and drag me into his depraved hell pit, and I'm not going there with him. Don't say another damn thing about a investigating anything, Jess Margera, or else you're going to have some very serious consequences to deal with. That is not a threat. It will be going through the legal system that you seem to love so much. Don't you worry. And I promise you, a judge will not be sympathetic to your harassment after I've made it very clear that I don't consent to it and I've told you to stop. That's it. Facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.